Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to things that you can do in England, but you can't do in America. I've not seen a video like this before. This is going to be an interesting one. I mean, the only one I can really think of is jaywalking. So, if the light is red, or if the light is green, sorry, so cars can go, but there's no cars there, you can cross the road here. If there's nobody there, you can cross the road if it's safe to go. Whereas in America, I believe jaywalking, is a crime. You can get a fine for that.
Hey y'all, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about things you can't do in the US that are perfectly fine to do here in England.
All right. Yeah, first
Now, just for clarification, for those of you who don't know, jaywalking is actually not crossing the street at the designated corners or designated crosswalks. So if you're in the middle of the block and you want to just cross.
Oh, so jaywalking isn't just crossing when the light is green. I see.
Over, even if the traffic's clear and it's perfectly safe, it's technically illegal in many places for you to
so that's still jaywalking.
You have to go to the corner and use the crosswalk or cross at the corner. I've actually known people who've gotten ticketed for this in America.
Wow.
So ridiculous. It's such a...
How much are the fines? Like, how much are the tickets? What do you need to pay? $20? More? Surely not more than that.
A dumb law, in my opinion. Here in England, they don't have anything like that. Obviously, if you're in a crowded city like London, you should probably use the crosswalks if you can, just because there's a lot of traffic. There's lots of lanes and different lanes going at different times and things like that. And especially if you're a tourist, you're not familiar with the traffic patterns, it's a really good idea for you to stay in those lanes. But if you are, a Londoner, or you're familiar with the area that you're in and you know it's okay and you know it's safe, it should be fine that you just cross when you know it's safe and you feel comfortable. So that's one thing that I think England definitely does better.
Yeah.
This is kind of subjective because in America, it's just that you don't really get a lot of holiday. But even when you do get, 2 weeks or even more, for some people who have been at places for a long time, it's really, really frowned upon to take more than 1 week at a time.
It's frowned upon. Even if you get, let's say you get 20 days paid vacation, I think they call it in America. If you wanted to take 2 weeks off to go on vacation, they wouldn't look down upon that sort of favorably. Are you serious? What? Nah, that's nonsense. Like, Americans watching this, can you confirm or deny that, please? Really? So you can't take more than a week off at a time, even if you have that time, you have that vacation time available to you? That's so unfair.
I remember when one time when I was actually coming back to England, I wanted to take 2 weeks and it was a huge, huge deal. I had to make sure I had plenty of cover. I had to make sure I had all my projects left up, almost as if I was being punished for taking more than 1 week at a time. You are very much work first, life second in America. That's just how the work culture is. And it's very frowned upon to even take time off and not check in or check your emails or things like that, especially if you're going to be gone for a long holiday. Here, they force people to take holidays. Taking 2 weeks because you're going overseas or just because you want to take 2 weeks because you have it, it's perfectly normal, it's perfectly valid, and it's perfectly accepted here in England. And yeah, that's a big, big plus. I love it.
I just don't get how employers don't realize that the more you make people work, inevitably you're going to get more people crashing out, burnt out, mental health problems. Like, it's all linked. It's all linked together. You need to take breaks.
Of course, there's options to go to private school that you would pay for out of your pocket. For this segment, we're just going to talk about the public school comparison. In America, you have to go to that school that's in your district. You don't have any choices. If you want to go to a different school that is going to be a public school, then you have to change where you live. It's all tied to where you live. Here in England, it is somewhat tied to where you live. Like, you live in Kent County, you can't go to school in London, right? You have to go to school in Kent County. However, there's so many secondary and primary schools in Kent County that you can find the school that's right for your child, fits, your dynamics and your lifestyle within those parameters. and you have to actually apply for a spot in that school. So it's not guaranteed necessarily that you can go to that school. If for some reason you're in a position where you've applied a few times and none of the schools have spaces, then it's up to the county to find you a school that you can go to put your child in. But it is something that England does that I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, like, that's why there are elements of it. Like, if there's a very, very, very good school, if you live really close to that school, then I think you have a higher chance of getting in. But you don't necessarily have to live close to that school. You can just apply. You could live 5, 10 miles away, even more. So yeah, there's definitely flexibility there. But now there's just so much competition to get into the best schools, free schools, that usually it's the people that live really close by that get priority.
Here in England, you don't have to have anything. You just make the appointment and you go. Now, don't get me wrong. If there are problems with the NHS, and there are some people that have trouble getting appointments, and there are reforms that can be done with the NHS system here. But they do have a hybrid system here, actually, where you can have private insurance, and it kind of works the way it is in America, where you pay for the insurance and then you might get a bill after the fact, depending on the coverage. And that's always an option for you. But if you can't afford that, then you always have the option of the NHS as well. Not having to have money on me all the time when I get sick or when I go to the doctor, or someone in my family goes to the doctor. It's amazing to me how...
Have money on you? So you have to physically pay cash, or have money on your card if you want to go to the doctor? You have to actually make a financial transaction. I thought it was all covered by your insurance. The American healthcare system's really confusing to me. Someone explain it to me as if you were talking to a 5-year-old. Let's say I have a policy that I pay $800 to $1,000 a month for. How does it work if I need to go to the doctor, if I need to get dental work done, God forbid if there's an operation required? Because there's things like co-pays and premiums. I just don't get it.
Much less stress you are under when you get sick. And it's just something that America does not have. In most cases, you don't have the option of going to just go to the doctor when you get sick. You have to have some kind of credit card with you to pay to get, sometimes you have to pay to even get for the appointment, to even see the doctor before you get any medications or tests or anything like that done.
No way.
And you usually have a bill after the fact as well.
Wow.
18. And of course, for me, in case you can't tell, I know it's really difficult, but I'm over 18. But I just think it's really, really weird. I've always thought it was really weird that the drinking age in America is 21 when you're considered an adult at 18. You can be tried in a murder trial or anything else when you're 18 years old.
You can join the army. You could die. You could literally die on the battlefield, but you can't go to the pub and get a drink. Come on.
You can buy a gun when you're 18 years old. You can join the armed forces when you're 18 years old and go overseas to fight for your country, yet you can't have a drink.
Silly.
Here in England, in certain cases, you might be able to get away with drinking even younger, especially if you're in like a pub setting where your family has always gone to or something like that, and they're familiar with you. They know who your family are, and if you get into trouble, they can make sure that they get you the help. They might serve you a little bit sooner, but being 18, you're an adult. You should make the choices. So being able to drink at 18 makes complete sense to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we
got totally schooled on this one. Never knew until I came here. Apparently, in America, there is some kind of law with the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration that oversees food safety, that you have to wash eggs before you sell them to a consumer. But what this does is it actually washes away a protective coating around the egg that's natural, from allow it to be sitting out on the counter and keep it protected from the elements outside. In America, you have to refrigerate it when you buy it, because if you don't, you will get sick because that protective coating has been washed away.
Oh my God.
According to the FDA's regulations. I was always refrigerating my eggs. I couldn't even find the eggs in the store when I first got here. It took me 2 or 3 trips to the store and a conversation with someone who had actually walked me to where the eggs were to even realize that the eggs just weren't in the refrigerated section. And I did refrigerate them for a really long time, and I got yelled at by so many people saying that that's actually really bad for your eggs here. So now I don't have to refrigerate my eggs. I don't know if it makes them taste better or not, but it's definitely more convenient having it right next to the stove when I'm cooking my eggs, considering I eat eggs almost every day. Obviously, if you leave it out for, months and months and months, that's not good for it. But you can leave it out for a decent period of time.
A few weeks.
And still be able to use it. But that's something you can't do in here.
How long do eggs last in America? Like here, I would say eggs last about, the longest I would have an egg and eat it, like I'd maybe maximum for me 2.5 weeks. So yeah, that kind of time frame. How long do eggs last in
America
States?
at all, which is really seems kind of backwards actually. So there you guys have it. Things that you can't do in the US but are perfectly fine to do here in the UK. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like.
Great video. That was a great video. She did a really good job in just explaining it in a clear, concise way. The egg one is really interesting. Why is it that eggs need to be washed at source by the farmers? Why is that? Is it the conditions? It must be the conditions of the eggs when they're hatched, perhaps. They must be different, because why would our eggs not need to be washed? The only thing I can think of is, where the eggs are kept in bulk at the farms, because I've never refrigerated my eggs, and they seem to last a pretty good amount of time. Very good glycemic index. Let me not get into that stuff, but good source of protein and stuff. Like, why do you need to refrigerate eggs in America? The jaywalking one as well. It's like, you get a fine even if the road is clear. You can't cross. Like, that just seems unnecessary to me. And how much is the fine? Please let me know how much the fine is. If it's more than $20, this is daylight robbery. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.